What story would you like to hear next?
The worm in the coffer!
All right then. There once was a dragon with scales as white as snow who hid inside a strongbox. Now, what story would you like to hear next?
The worm in the coffer!
All right then. There once was a dragon with scales as white as snow.
No need to worry any longer.
I saw several soldiers being carried to the Vale.
How goes the treatment of the wounded? I'd be happy to man one end of a stretcher if it would help.
You've helped quite enough for one day, Clive. Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Oh, but I must. After all you've done for this town, it is the very least you deserve.
Tell me, if Northreach had fallen, what would you have done? A woman of your means could find a home anywhere in the realm, but I sense you would rather have died here.
It's a long story.
For you, madame, I have all the time in the world.
Very well. Long ago, I had a life in the Crystalline Dominion. I was Carla then, courtesan to the nobility. So sought after was I that it was only they who could afford my time. Alas, those halcyon days were not to last. For naive as I was, I fell in love with a bearer. He was my master's guard, the gentlest man I have ever known. After they discovered us together, he was whipped bloody and forbidden from ever looking at me again. And so we fled. Not that we had anywhere to flee to. We wandered, aimless and starving, half dreading, half praying that the next day would be our last. Until we found ourselves here, in Northreach. It was the Vale that took us in, that fed us, clothed us, and healed our hurts. Those that could be healed, at least. My love was already too far gone.
He passed away.
He did. Not long after we arrived. But at least we were able to share a few moments of peace before the end. It was the greatest gift I have ever received. But the generosity of this town and her people did not end there. The men and women of the Vale supported me through my grief, shared in it, though I was still a stranger to them. They treated me like a sister. And so I swore that I would always do the same. That I would return the kindness that Northreach showed me. That I would repay my debt to the Vale.
Thank you, Isabel, for sharing this with me.
You're a lot like him, you know. Perhaps that is why I have such a soft spot for you. Never stop fighting, Clive. And I shan't either. I know that it will not be easy to keep Northreach together. But our efforts will be rewarded. Just look at us now. The people, the soldiers, even the Duke of Oriflamme and his daughter. All united in defense of this town that we have come to call our home. And what of you? Can we count on your support too?
Always. Ready, girl? It's still here. After all these years. A lot smaller than I remember. And you're a lot bigger. You might have to swim, boy. I wasn't being serious.
You two go on without me. I doubt that boat will hold a third.
If you're sure, we won't be long. Hop in, boy. This place hasn't changed at all. The rookery's right through those trees. Come on. Race you there? I bet I could still beat you. Here we are. This was our hideaway. Wasn't it, Torgal? Coming here helped me to forget who I was. Or wasn't. Prince, shield. Son his mother could love. Had I been any one of those things? Perhaps. What is it, boy? This is all from the castle. And Phoenix Gate. Did you bring these here? My sparring sword. Well, well. You never stopped looking for me, did you, boy? Thank you, Torgal. For never giving up. For never forgetting. Let's take this with us, shall we? So I don't forget either. That's not the way back to the boat, Torgal.
right?
All right. I'm coming. I think I know where we're going. People always talk about the importance of putting the past behind you. But without it, we wouldn't be who we are today. And we certainly couldn't steer our way to a better tomorrow. Come on, Torgal. Let's go home. Sorry for the wait. It's oil. After what happened here, it's a miracle there was any left at all. This should be enough. Here we are again. Carava. If you were a tortoise, Torgal, where would you hide? It looks like we found him.
To me, boy! Help me, boy! I'm hurt, Torgal. All yours, Torgal!
I better get these materials to Min.
Your Grace, my lord, I trust your journey was not overly onerous.
Cyril, you found a letter from Father.
Yes, I have it here. If you would do us the honor, my lord.
An inheritance.
It would seem the late Archduke penned this missive shortly before his passing.
The day before we left for Phoenix Gate.
What are these plans he spoke of?
His plans for the duchy, Your Grace. Your father entrusted them to my predecessor, the former bearer of the Burning Quill, who entrusted them in turn to me. The complete emancipation of bearers is their stated aim. But your father's dream did not end there. His Grace also spoke of building hospices to care for those stricken by the curse, and the founding of a new university to further the development of non-magical technologies. With the blight spreading ever more widely across the twins, Archduke Elwyn saw this as the only means of securing Rosaria's survival.
He wished to see men and bearers treated as equals. To see centuries of common wisdom overturned. Small wonder he did not think it achievable within his lifetime.
But he thought it achievable nonetheless. Had he not, he would never have written this message. Nor would he have entrusted his vision to his most faithful aides, those who would have stood with you, shielded you from the machinations of the less benevolent personages at court.
It's a pity only they are still with us.
'Tis true that those most loyal to your father were the first to suffer the Duchess's wrath. But one at least remains, and she has come bearing gifts.
What do you mean?
Mayhap it is better that she explain, my lord. After all, the duties entrusted to me by my predecessor extended only to recovering His Grace's will and arranging a meeting with the one who might execute it, or a part of it at least.
And where is this woman?
She awaits you in the archive, Your Grace.
Thank you, Cyril. Shall we then?
Lord Marquis, if you have a moment.
What is it, Cyril?
One of our brethren lately journeyed across the strait in order to pursue a new avenue of inquiry in our ongoing investigation. He sent an owl some while ago, but we have heard naught from him since.
Was he surveying another fallen ruin?
No. The object of his study was a savior cult that has arisen in Ash in recent years. We believe it may have some connection to the Circle of Malleus, an ancient religion that worshipped Ultima as its god. By gaining an understanding of this new faith, we hoped to learn more of the Circle's original beliefs.
And so you sent one of your brothers to Ash, a continent teeming with orcs and Akashic.
Fully cognizant of the risks, yes. I entrusted the mission to one of the most able of our order, the Third Chair, a master of the arts of combat and survival both. Though he has been silent for some days now, I have thus far refrained from sending any others in search of him, lest they be lost in turn. Yet, it seemed only right to inform you of the situation, given your unique experience of the perils of Ash. For as you so earnestly advised me, it would not do to abandon a man to his fate, when he might yet be saved.
But Ash is a big place.
Perhaps. The last owl I received from him mentioned a village where he had heard the cult were wont to assemble. Mickleburg was its name. It lies in the southern reaches of Waloed. If aught ill befell him, I expect it did so there.
Right. I'll see what I can do.
You are much too kind, my lord. Go then, with my hopes, and may the firebird's flame ever burn in your heart. When last I heard from him, the Third Chair was bound for Mickleburg. If you mean to seek him.
If this new faith really is an offshoot of the Circle of Malleus.
Let's concentrate on finding the Third Chair first, shall we?
This is the Required Tree, an archive where we of the Undying collect and collate our findings.
My lord, your grace. I hardly recognize you. I am Goditha, retainer of House Rosfield, loyal servant to the Phoenix and his shields. Your father, the Archduke Elwyn, entrusted me with the delivery of a gift. I only hope you can forgive my tardiness in bringing it to you.
Lift up your head, Lady Goditha. You have our gratitude for your service to our house and to our father.
I merely did my duty, as any proud Rosarian would.
My lady, perhaps you could explain a little more? What exactly is the gift you bring?
As I'm sure you know, it has long been the custom for the children of House Rosfield to be presented with certain keepsakes upon their coming of age.
Indeed it has. Our father often spoke of the day when our turn would come.
And had he lived to see it, he would have presented you with the treasures I bear. Matching armbands for you both. Alas, he did not live. Indeed, he was taken from us even before they could be completed. He had intended to claim the Heartstone with which each armband was to be finished himself, but it was not to be. And his gifts remain incomplete.
I see.
It saddens me to bring them before you, as they are. It was your father's wish that you be presented with the finished articles, not these works in progress. But with his grace long since gone, and the stone left unclaimed, I had little choice. You are grown men now, and his house is yours. And while I would not presume to insist upon your claiming the Heartstone in his stead, I know that nothing would have pleased him more than for you to do so.
Thank you, Lady Goditha.
What say you, Clive?
What else? Of course, my lady. May our father's will be done.
Oh, I am much obliged.
Do you know where we might find this Heartstone, my lady?
I do. Though it may be a matter of a good deal more than simply happening upon it. It is found in the bellies of elder griffins, you see. We do at least know where to find one. A certain specimen has made its nest in Titan's Wake, not far from here.
A certain specimen?
You are most perceptive, Your Grace. In answer to your unspoken question, yes. In fact, this is the very same beast your father meant to slay. I have been tracking its movements since you were but a boy. Were you to slay it in his stead, as men of House Rosfield, it would surely make your father proud.
What say you, Joshua?
What else?
Eyes peeled, Joshua.
There it is. For House Rosfield.
You deserve a rest.
Help me, boy. I'm hurt, Torgal. I'm hurt, Torgal. Help me, boy. Help me, boy.